They're eating constantly. It's got to go somewhere, right?
It's just going to really bind up.
Is that why they're always walking?
They're just really bloated.
To celebrate the launch of Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead on Netflix, we've drafted in a zombie expert to answer your questions about the undead. And having just watched the film, we also have some questions of our own. Let's get into it. Hey Cameron, thanks for joining us. So you're from the Zombie Research Society?
Yeah, that's right. My name is Dr. Cameron Carlson, and I'm an epidemiologist, a doctor of public health, and one of the managing partners of the Zombie Research Society.
Looking at this zombie-infested world that is in Army of the Dead, what top tips would you give anyone who would like to survive in that world?
We enter a theme again when it comes to, there are two types of zombies. One, the zombie that rambles on, that's like in The Walking Dead, Night of the Living Dead, all that stuff that just kind of moans and groans and walks on. Now we enter the Resident Evil, Zombieland, Army of the Dead zombies, which sprint. The rule number one is cardio. You're going to be running a lot, so get in shape.
Next question, can zombies swim?
Well, okay, depends on the type of zombies. If we're talking about these zombies, most likely, because a zombie defined, I'm actually going to define what a zombie is in my world, is a human organism that has been brought back to life after being dead with a very basal instincts. That's moving, that's feeding. So swimming, running, jumping, those are all higher brain like cognitive functions, which zombies should not have. But if we are talking about these zombies, the possibility is yes, if they can run, they can swim. However, if they just meander and walk around, what are they going to do? They're going to sink, but once they hit the bottom, they can walk. So sort of they can swim, I guess. More of like a floating than anything else, but actually, yeah, you could.
Following on from the whole can zombies swim thing, can they breathe in space?
No, nothing can breathe in space. You basically, if a zombie's in space or anything's in space, it's a vacuum, so all you're going to do is implode. So even though they may not quote unquote breathe, they'll just kind of go and fold in on themselves.
Yeah, because we can strangle them obviously, and we can shoot them through the lungs and they won't die. So presumably they don't need oxygen, but they will still not work in space physics.
Yeah, correct, exactly. They that little bit of a brain activity that they have up there is literally just going to propel them to move, and it's basically bringing those ambulatory skills back to life.
Well, there you go to space.
Yeah, go to space.
So in Army of the Dead, we see zombies known as Shamblers that have dried up in the desert sun and will actually come back to life when it rains. Does that mean that zombies need moisture to survive?
Really interesting concept. I've never seen that in any games. I've never seen it in any movies. The thing about a zombie is when it comes back to life, it's going to decay over time. Just because they're eating people or things doesn't mean that they're actually getting nutrients, and there's no circulatory system. So all they're going to do is they're going to come back to life, and just like you've seen in a lot of these movies, they look like skeletons and things are hanging off of them, and because they're decaying. So the zombie apocalypse will actually fizzle out if you can stop the transmission and just basically wait it out. It's not as fun as going out with guns and hammers and bats, but the rain concept in the movie is cool, but it wouldn't really happen. And again, I shudder to think of what that would smell like.
This is a conversation you can totally smell.
And taste, it's thick.
Do zombies ever stop eating?
No, a zombie's main goal in I guess, life is to feed. We've seen it all the way from Night of the Living Dead. We've seen it Dawn of the Dead. Resident Evil 1 actually even opens up with a zombie's main drive is to feed. So they never stop eating. That's why I used to see them walking around going... That's all they do. That's it. Like, that's what they do. That's their job, to feed and just cause problems. Yeah, don't get me wrong. This body didn't happen by accident.
So moving on from how much they eat then to the other end of the spectrum, do zombies poop? I can't believe I asked the question.
Yeah, that's out there. Not in the sense that I think, we would talk about, I think that if they eat something and there's a hole down there, I think it'll just fall out. So, I guess you could kind of look at it that way. So sure, why not? But if they're hibernating and they can run, then there's a definite possibility that they can defecate.
They're eating constantly. It's got to go somewhere, right?
It's just going to really bind up. That's some serious problems.
Is that why they're always walking? Like,
they're just really bloated. That's really what it is.
Biologically, can animals get infected the same as humans?
Absolutely. One of the examples that I make a lot is that there are ants that are in, I want to say it's the Amazon. There are ants in the Amazon that actually get infected with a fungus.
The Last of Us, right?
Exactly. And that fungus they use in the game is based on a real life fungus called the cordyceps fungus. And what it does is when ants are crawling around, the fungus is launched into air from other ants that have the fungus, and it falls onto these ants. And the parasite of the fungus buries into the ant's brain and controls the ant. So basically it'll climb to the tallest tree that it can and death grip onto the branch and die, so the parasite then can actually exit out of its own brain and spread more spores that way. You see the transmission of diseases from animals to humans all the time. That's called a zoonotic transmission. Swine flu, for example, was a zoonotic jump between a pig and human. SARS-CoV-1, a zoonotic jump between animal and human. So yeah, absolutely, you see it all the time.
So we got a little tease in Army of the Dead. It's like a blink and you miss it moment, but we see like a hybridized robot zombie that's all mechanical and sparking when its head gets shot off. I don't know where that's going. That's probably something for a future film, but what would you rather deal with, a biological zombie or a mechanized zombie?
100% biological. Biologicals will break down. You can inflict massive damage to a skull very easily. A bullet will penetrate it. You can run away. These things, if you're dealing with mechanized zombies, then you're dealing with robots that have a chip, something controlling them, and they have metal endoskeletons that you will be really hard pressed to break through. So 100% biologic.
Same. They're squashier, squishier. I feel like I can do more damage to that.
Cuddly.
So if any future survivors, like me, want to know more about the Zombie Research Society, where can they find you guys?
If anybody wants to find out more about what the society is about or just how to survive in the apocalypse that is coming, it's just a question of when, head over to www.zombieresearchsociety.com. Have fun going down the rabbit hole, because what you don't know can eat you.
Great advice, Cameron. Check out more on Army of the Dead and get your apocalypse survival tips here on IGN.